right, it is another Tuesday here at Crain and Company. To my left, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn. To my right, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blain Crain. And thank you guys so much for making us your daily sports watch or listen as we dive into a full Super Bowl 59 preview. We answer whether or not Patrick Mahomes is already greater than Tom Brady, and we give you an update on what's been a crazy year so far in college basketball. Blaine?
Yeah.
Tell the Booster Club about the chat and the poll.
All right, chat, what's up? If you're in here, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Remember, if you donate and it's on topic, it will get read. All donations will get read at the end of the show. We're going to have multiple polls in here, guys, where you get to decide the winner. So get excited and get your feet chopping. Let's go over to Coney to talk about that hot take hotline.
Yes, if you want to call into this show, you call in this Friday. We're going to take your calls Friday at 1-855-236-3228.
Lines will be full, and so will the takes. We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. So let's get this party started. Now, we all know there's no better feeling than hitting the come up and flexing on your ex. To do it once is awesome, but to do it twice is epic. And that's exactly what Andy Reid has the chance to do in this upcoming Super Bowl. Now, even though his last year in Philly was a 4-12 disaster, Reid won 130 regular season games with the Eagles. That's the most in franchise history. 10 playoff games, most in the franchise history as well. 6 division titles, 5 conference championship games, and a Super Bowl appearance in 2004. But then he went to Kansas City. And since he did in 2013, Kansas City has defeated the Eagles in 4 straight games, including the Super Bowl, until Week 11 of the 2023 season. Now, that 21-17 win for Philly was the first Chiefs-Eagles game that Reid has ever lost as the head coach of either team. It's pretty impressive. Now, beating your old team in the regular season is one thing, but beating them in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of them all, it's like winning the lottery 2 weeks after she jumped you, and now you're riding around town with a Lambo and Miss Sweden in the passenger. See, Reid is already a surefire Hall of Famer, and a win against Philadelphia in the Super Bowl could vault him to the Mount Rushmore of coaches, and doing it by beating a team that gave you your walking papers, ooh, that would be extra, extra sweet. David Cohn, obviously Andy Reid's a hell of a coach. This should be a hell of a game. Let's go ahead and jump into this preview, man. How are you feeling? What are some things you're looking at as obviously we're a couple weeks out? What stands out to you?
Man, I'm really excited for this matchup, and I do think it's so cool that Andy Reid is coaching once again against his former team. I mean, I remember those years of him running up and down the sidelines for the Eagles, having Donovan McNabb, and now look what he's doing in Kansas City. Look, if Philadelphia wants to be able to get over this hump and beat their former coach, there's a couple things they need to do, because the craziest stat to me so far when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs is both of their playoff opponents have outgained them in yardage, and both their opponents haven't turned the football over. And yet the Chiefs are 2-0 against the Texans and against the Bills. That's wild. So it's not just good enough to come in here and say, well, don't turn the football over, or, well, you better run good, because that hasn't been working for either of the opponents the Chiefs are playing. You sort of have to have everything going. I know you guys are going to hit on the Eagles defense being able to get to Patrick Mahomes and not let him run all over you the way he did against the Bills. I want to focus on the Eagles on offense right now, and really starts with Jalen Hurts. Here are Jalen Hurts' stats from this past weekend in the NFC Championship game against Washington. 20 for 28 through the year, 246 passing yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, and he added 3 touchdowns on the ground. This was his best performance since that end of season concussion that he was dealing with. He's going to need a performance that's every bit this good if the Eagles are going to win this game. Accurate through the air, and it's not just about not turning the football over, making the right decisions when it comes to, let's say, the zone read. Are they keying in on Saquon Barkley? Is Jalen Hurts pulling it at the right time? Is he throwing the RPO behind it? And if he is, how accurate is he with the football? Do we have the clip of Jalen Hurts throwing the football to A.J. Brown down the sideline on 4th and 5? Because I'd love to show that as an example of what he's capable of in big moments.
Yeah, let's run it. God, watch AJ at the top. You're cooked.
Pass to one low, going deep. A.J. Brown.
Yeah, that's a dog.
And the Eagles are only up 2 there. This isn't some blowout where you can just go for it on 4th and 5 and there's no risk. I mean, that's the Jalen Hurts that we're going to need to see, combined with a big day from Saquon, combined with a big day for the Eagles defensive front 7 against Patrick Mahomes if they're going to be Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, I love that. And again, number one, if wide receivers are getting that open, I mean, that's obviously going to make it easier on Jalen, but he's going to have to make some of those throws to win this game. And I got some numbers I want to get into a second. But Blain, I want to go over to you first. Looking on the Kansas City side, you know, what kind of jumps out to you the most?
Well, you know, what gets talked about a lot with the Chiefs, obviously Andy Reid in this offense, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. I mean, they're the faces of this dynasty. But what doesn't get talked about enough is how good they are on defense. Not only when it comes to their front 7, their linebackers, Nick Bolton, who I think we can talk about as one of the best linebackers in the nation, but I thought their secondary has played extremely well in this football game, and they're going to have to do it again against the Eagles. But we can talk about both these teams and the rosters and position group standpoint, because I really think if you look at the Eagles, they have a better roster than the Chiefs.
They do.
They really do. From position to position, the Eagles have a better roster. The question is, and this is always the question, is Jalen Hurts good enough to go with 4 quarters against Patrick Mahomes and beat him? Can he step up to that level where Patrick Mahomes is and beat him in the Super Bowl? Because even if the Chiefs in the regular season, they're a certain team, and I know that. But once the playoffs starts, they're a different football team, and you see that. All right, can he step up toe-to-toe with the great one, people are calling him now, with Patrick Mahomes, and beat him?
And look, I want to run through some numbers here for the audience, but there's one thing that can't get measured, and I'm going to get to that. You want to talk about one-dimensional? If you're Spags and you're this Kansas City Chiefs defense, you're looking at these numbers, and it tells an unbelievably blatant story. Philadelphia's offense is number 1 in the league in runs per game, rushes per game. They average running the ball 36.3 times per game. They're 31st in the league in passing yards per game. They're 32nd in the league in passes per game at 25.9. There is no mistake about what the Eagles want to do. The question is, if you're the Chiefs, do you rob Peter to pay Paul in the run game? What do I mean by that? Do you throw bodies at the Eagles out of 11 personnel? Or when they get into 12 every now and then say, you know what? We are going to make Jalen Hurts beat us in man coverage. And that would be the obvious thing you would think to do. But on Kansas City's defensive side, I think we've been a little bit lulled to sleep in really how good they are. Not that they're bad, but when you look at Kansas City on defense, they're 19th in the league in opponents' pass yards per game. They're giving up over 220.6. That isn't elite. They're also 19th in opponent completion percentage per game, giving up almost 66% completion percentage to the other team. And guess what the Eagles rank, even though they really never throw the ball? And you can say, well, they run so much, people are surprised when they throw it. They rank 8th in the league offensively in completion percentage. Jalen Hurts is almost completing 68% of his passes. So if you're Kansas City, and even with McDuffie and you got these guys in the back end and you're worried about the run with Saquon and Jalen, they've been very efficient talking about Philly in the passing game. So there is an ability to take away Jalen Hurts having to make incredible throws. If you're going to sit there and run man coverage against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, whether you're bringing pressure or you're not bringing pressure, Jalen Hurts can make the easy throw. He can make the layup. So do you say, all right, we're going to stop the run. We may mix up a little bit more zone. We're going to put bodies in the box or whatever and just take what they give us on the outside, because A.J. Brown, when he's covered by one guy, is not covered. Devontae Smith can cook you from the slot. Or do you say, you know what? We're going to play too high. We're going to play too high. We're going to go with an even box because they may be good enough. And when you look defensively, the Chiefs are 9th in the league in rushing yards per game given up at 106.7. They're also 9th in the league in opponent's yard per rush at 4.2. So they don't have to go out of their way to stop most teams running the ball. But in this game, they may have to. And the more I look at this, and I like the Chiefs, because there's one number you can't measure, and that's clutch. It's that clutch button that Patrick Mahomes and them always find a way to hit. And I'm going to lean on that. But the more I look at these numbers, I am starting to get more concerned about Kansas City's defense, because we have this illusion they're the best defense in the league and they're super elite. They're really good. They're really good. All right. But they're not elite against the pass. And that's something we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and if they hold up well against Saquon Barkley and they hold up well against Jalen Hurts on the zone read game, and somehow you're able to guard A.J. Brown, and then you do well against Devontae Smith, well, congratulations. Dallas Goedert's pretty good, too, at tight end. Like, they got a pretty good tight end as well. But I'm really interested to see how the front, I mean, this is one of the best offensive lines that we've seen in the last couple seasons. How well can they hold up against Chris Jones? What exactly is their plan for Chris Jones? Because he's a game wrecker.
Well, the problem we're not in a matchup I can't believe we haven't talked about. What was the one guy for the Commanders that hurt the Eagles?
It was Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz had over 100 yards receiving. Let me tell you a guy who played for the Chiefs right now who did not do anything in the Bills game. If you're giving up 100 yards against Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce is going to kill you. He is going to kill you. Option routes, whatever Andy Reid and these guys design, it's going to be a long day. So I'm interested to see how the Eagles are going to approach stopping Travis Kelce when you couldn't stop Zach Ertz.
No, and look, I'm with you. And I think there's some things that Washington did. And it's hard to sit here and say, well, Washington has a ton more weapons, right, than what the Kansas City Chiefs have. But I think Jaden Daniels' running element may have caused a little bit of that. I mean, guys, Philadelphia's defense is number 2 in the league in opponents' pass yards per game. Like, they've been shutting down the pass. They're number 3 in opponent completion percentage. So they know how to stop it. I wonder if this is the game where the lack of weapons offensively outside of Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs and Travis Kelce at tight end kind of hurt you. Because, guys, the Kansas City run game ain't great either. It's not like they're knocking down. They're 23rd in the league in rush yards per game. All right? It's not like the run game's been awesome. I'm starting to get more and more worried about Kansas City's ability to move the ball. But that's where I think Xavier Worthy, especially in the red zone.
You guys like the line right now? It's -1.5 Kansas City.
I'm going to bet the Chiefs.
I'm going to bet the Chiefs because
not only -1.5, but I would take a money line too. I think the more interesting bet really is the over/under.
What's it at right?
They're 49.5.
God,
high number. Right, that's a high number.
I don't know.
It really is.
The way both these championships games played out last weekend, you like the over.
Yeah, I know, but then again, we go back to the week before that when all the unders hit.
Yeah, they did.
And this is the Super Bowl. So again, I wonder if Jalen Hurts, from a being beat up standpoint, I think that affects him more of getting away from pressure than it is him actually running the ball and getting downhill. Right? I think his ability to, and he did a pretty good job of it. Against Washington. He spun out a couple times, threw the ball away, which was a win against pressure. But if you're Spags and you smell blood in the water and he's not able to get away from you quickly, how quick do you dial up that pressure? And then when you do dial up the pressure, how naked are you in the back? Is it true zero? Or are you just inserting a 5th rusher? That's what I want to see, but there's nobody better doing than Steve Spagnuolo, and we're going to see there at the end.
All right, you ready to get to the chat?
Yeah.
All right, chat. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. Let's get a $5 donation from Philip. Appreciate it, Philip. He says, guys, it feels like one of those games that all eyes will be on A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith will be the guy to go off. He might be the best number 2 receiver in the league.
Well, and Devontae's the guy they motion around a lot. They put him in the slot. You can put him inside. You can put him outside. They give him jet sweeps. They give him that, that little shovel pass on the speed sweep motion. So, yeah, that's Philip. But a lot of it is, all right, A.J. Brown needs to get fed. But how big of a threat is he as a decoy? We're going to know early how Kansas City is playing him. Are they bracketing him? And not just on passing downs, not just on 3rd and 7, but on 1st and 10 if the Eagles decide to pitch backwards, which I don't think they're going to do. I think they're going to give it to Saquon and test the water there. I mean, hell, he hit a 60-yard home run his first run last game. So, yeah, the Eagles have a lot of weapons, but it starts with stopping Saquon. You eliminate things one by one when you play a team like Philly.
Let's go to a $10 donation from James. Appreciate it, James. He says, are the Chiefs going to be the first team ever in NFL history to be able to stop the tush push?
I don't think anybody's been able to stop it. I think one of the
time.
Well, I also think I brought up the stat of Philadelphia being number 1 in the league in rushes per game. I think a lot of that has to do with every time they get in 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or get to the goal line or whatever, they're doing the tush push. What I need to find out is how many tush pushes there are a game. I wonder how many. If you had to guess right now, David, how many times Philly runs a tush push per game? 5?
I don't know
Say
what
at least
the tush
5?
push means. I don't accept that terminology.
The quarterback
sneak.
The quarterback sneak.
Philadelphia doesn't just get to rename the quarterback sneak because all of a sudden their quarterback squats a lot or something. So I'm not going to give up on that argument.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from More Mine. He said, appreciate it, man. He says, how did the Eagles limit Kelce after they let Zach Ertz go off in the last game? That's what I'm most worried about. I see Kelce having 150 yards and 2 touchdowns if they keep lining Blankenship up on him.
Well, the biggest thing with Travis, and as he's gotten older, the threat of verticality has kind of left. Not that he was a great vertical threat down the field, that he was going to run by you. Typically, where does Travis hurt you down the field? When Patrick Mahomes keeps the play alive and gives him time to go down there. So you got really 2 options if you're defending him. One, do you try and do what Buffalo did and jump him at the snap and slow him down and trail him out of man? Or do you play off and get set up for the option route? Right? Whatever leverage you are, inside or outside, he's going to go the other way. I think you got to mix it up. But here is where not being able to put your hands on somebody past, 5 yards down the field in the NFL really hurts you. Because if you can't reroute Travis, once he gets going, it's like a big running back. It's like Derrick Henry. If you're going to get him, you need to get him early. But whether you're in zone, the zone coverage scares me because he can sit down better than anybody.
Stay tuned for Huddle Up because we're going to talk about man versus zone coverage.
That's exactly right. You got a great breakdown of that. All right, but before we move on, I want to tell you about our friends over at Acorns. Acorns is a financial wellness app that makes it easy to start saving and investing for your future. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that matches you and your money goals. And you don't need to be rich, okay? You don't have to just be coming back from the Davos convention or whatever that was to do this. Acorns lets you get started with the spare money you got right now, even if all you have is spare change. So sign up and join the over 13 million all-time customers who have already saved and invested, get this, over $22 billion with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/booster or download the Acorns app to get started. This is a paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/booster. Head over there today. They do a fantastic job. Like I said, you don't have to have a lot of money to be able to save and invest and make smart plays. All right, Coney, let's move on here.
All right, we got punter go up first, and Blain's going to read the first topic.
Oh, God, I cannot wait for this first one, boys. It's been talked about everywhere already.
Okay.
You know, the chosen one versus I'm him. Question is this. Punter go. Patrick Mahomes is already better than Tom Brady. David, punter go.
Punt. Thinking that Patrick Mahomes is already greater than Tom Brady, that's a great example of recency bias, prisoner of the moment type mentality. I mean, Tom Brady has more Super Bowl victories than any one single franchise. Do I need to repeat that? Do you know how insane that is? More than any one franchise in the NFL has. And what's the knock on these other quarterbacks around the AFC, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson? Well, they can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Well, you know who could? Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes couldn't beat him. Brady's 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and one of those was a Super Bowl. In fact, that's Patrick Mahomes' only Super Bowl loss is against that guy right there, Tom Brady. Now, I think you can make a case that Patrick Mahomes would be a Hall of Famer right this second if he retired. I think you could make a strong case for that. But I think you could make a better case that Tom Brady could be a 3-time Hall of Famer. If you split that guy's 21-year career up into 7-year increments, you could make the case that he would make the Hall of Fame 3 times. Certainly 2 different times if you split his career in half. That is absolutely insane to me. Patrick Mahomes may get there. He's going to be the closest that we've seen. But right this second, he's not there.
All right, Jake. Nice job, David. Patrick Mahomes is already better than Tom Brady. You punting? Or are you keeping the offense on the field?
David, I love you, but you're wrong. I'm going on this, and I'm going to give it to you 3 different ways. You brought up 3 different points of his career. I'm going to give it to you 3 different ways. First, I'm going to give you the statistical way, all right? In their first 8 seasons, I'll go through the numbers. Patrick Mahomes has almost 1,000 more passing yards than Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes averages almost 50 more passing yards per game. Patrick Mahomes has 48 more passing touchdowns than Tom Brady. He has 12 less interceptions. He has almost 1,500 more rushing yards than Tom Brady, averages 5 yards more on every rushing attempt, has 9 more rushing touchdowns. And when you look at fantasy point percentage, he is absolutely murdering him, and we know how important that is. But let's get to championships and honors. Through their first 8 seasons, both have 3 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, both have 3 championships. Patrick Mahomes has been to 6 Pro Bowls. Tom Brady's been to 4. Patrick Mahomes has been All-Pro 3 times. Tom Brady only twice. Patrick Mahomes, AP MVP twice. Brady once. AP Offensive Player of the Year. They both have 1. And Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl MVPs, and Tom Brady only has 2. And to be honest with you, I'd rather have to defend Tom Brady because he can't run. And when it comes down to who can diversify the portfolio the most out of the pocket, inside the pocket's a good argument, but outside the pocket, give me Patrick Mahomes. At the end of the day, the stats show it. This is equal. This is right next to each other. And don't give me the errors argument at all. They played against each other in the Super Bowl, bruh.
Yeah, and who won that? Tom Brady won that.
Yes.
All right, I love it. I love it.
Patrick Mahomes can't beat this guy when it really matters, and that'll never go away.
Infant.
All right.
Beat him when he was an infant.
Down, fellas. I'm going to get a spray bottle out here so y'all can end the argument. All right, the next one.
Got a whole bag of
Talk a little AFC West here, fellas. AFC West. You want to go ahead and do this one? Or you want to, let's go ahead and stick here. Pete Carroll just got hired at the Raiders. All right, and you know the hate between him and Jim Harbaugh. This is the punter go question. Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh will be the best rivalry in the NFL. Dave, are you punting Are you going?
No, I'm going for that. I want this again. Can we bring up this breakdown here? Jim Harbaugh turned down the largest NFL contract in history so he could, quote, beat Pete Carroll again. In 2007, Jim Harbaugh led Stanford team, beat Pete Carroll and USC 24-23, already up 1-0. SC came back the next year, 45-23 with Mark Sanchez, tied at 1-0. Stanford the next year, 55-21. Look at these guys right here. That was with Andrew Luck. Harbaugh up in the head-to-head 2-1. And then they go, and Pete Carroll becomes the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Jim Harbaugh goes to the 49ers. But before that, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offered Jim Harbaugh the highest coaching salary of all time, but he took the 49ers job instead, saying, I want to beat Pete Carroll again. Right now, their head-to-head is 6-6, and you're going to put both these guys in the same division again. I cannot wait for this. When was the most physical matchups that we've seen in the NFL in quite a while with those 49ers teams and those Seahawks teams when they were in the same division, and one of those guys one of those guys led their team to the Super Bowl in the NFC for 3 straight years when they were in the same division.
All right, Jake, Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh will be the best rivalry in the NFL. Are you punting or are you going?
Well, Mama's wrong again. I'm punting on this. To be a great rivalry, all I've heard David Cohn talk about when it's coming to Ohio State, Michigan, and Auburn, Alabama is the teams have to be good. There's got to be something on the line. It has to matter. Yeah, you can have history and tradition in the past, just like Stanford and Cal, but nobody cares about that game anymore because they're both cheek water. At the end of the day, until the Chargers have showed some improvement. You got Justin Herbert. The Raiders are going to go get their guy. Until those teams are relevant again and postseason and championship and division relevant again, it's not going to matter. That's great that they hate each other. They probably still hate each other, but there needs to be on-the-field consequences for the team that loses this game. And right now, even though Pete Carroll I thought was a great hire, I don't see it. The Raiders have a long hill to climb. Hate fuels it a lot. Hate can fuel it a lot. But until the on-the-field product matters because both teams are good, this is not even going to be close to the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens or the Bills or the Ravens and the Chiefs. I can go, or even the Bengals and the Steelers right now. So I'm punting on that maybe down the road, and I hope so, David. I hope it gets back to be good.
Well, the argument that you make for the Iron Bowl is like, it doesn't matter how many times Alabama's better than Auburn. It's about the hate. It's about the hate that's in their heart. Those two guys hate each other. They told J.J. McCarthy when he came and interviewed for the Seahawks, better be glad Pete's not still the head coach or you might not be in this room right now. Those two guys hate each other. I cannot wait for them to face off in the AFC West.
I want to see who Pete Carroll goes and gets a quarterback. I really want to see that. Because the Raiders, they do have some pieces, though. That's what I said. Brock Bowers, really not. When you talk about exciting white,
yeah.
I mean, you walk into the vineyard. You walk into the vineyard.
I mean, Brock Bowers and Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
That is
two
true.
Exciting white.
Yeah, you walk into the vineyard, you go to the white section. That's exciting. Both of them are exciting.
All right, fellas, y'all get to the third one right here?
All right, yeah, I'll hit you guys with the third one here. We want to talk a little South Carolina football because head coach Shane Beamer has signed a contract extension through 2030. His salary is going to go up to $8.15 million this upcoming season, and then each year it will increase by $100,000 so that he is at $8.65 million on the final year of that deal. Obviously, we're big Shane Beamer fans here personally. But what I want to say to you guys is Shane Beamer, under this new contract here, will win the SEC while at South Carolina. Jake, you going to punt that or go for that?
I'm going for it. And this may not be popular because South Carolina hasn't been one of the big dogs in the SEC and really hadn't done that much outside of Shane having a couple good years since they had Spurrier. But Shane Beamer, when you look at the young talent they have, when you look at how kind of exciting it is to play for him, how guys gravitate toward him, Lenora Sellers, up-and-coming star, Dylan Stewart, up-and-coming star. Recruits are flocking to South Carolina. I've personally had to coach against them up at that place, and it can get absolutely rocking. All they need is a little bit of confidence. And we talk about all this parity and the shifting around of college football. It has never been a better time for South Carolina to ascend to the top. And by extending him, what do you give yourself? It's the fleeting thing in college athletics, stability. There's no questions about whether Shane Beamer's going to be fired, whether he's not going to be there, or whether he's going to take another job. I think Shane is comfortable in South Carolina, and I think they're hungry. Damn it, I think Gamecock Nation is ready to rock and roll, but you got to have the players to do it. And maybe Shane's best quality, he knows ball, but recruiting as a head coach, he'll grind it, he understands it, he can win a living room, and they got some young stars. South Carolina's coming, boys.
South Carolina as SEC champs. Seems crazy to think about. You going to punt that or go for that?
Yeah, I'm punting this.
I'm shocked.
I mean, one, I like Shea Beamer a lot, although you never sent us that helmet. I'm still pissed off about it. The amount of depth that the SEC has, and there's so many good teams here, I just don't see South Carolina just automatically rising to the top of this. Let's be honest here. Alabama, they're going to be better here in the coming years. Florida, you would think so. I mean, DJ Lagway, they're going to be better. I mean, Tennessee with a freshman quarterback, Oklahoma, all these new teams, Texas, Georgia. South Carolina is a good football team. Lenore Sellers is a young quarterback. He's been going through the sophomore year. But there is too much talent, and there's too much depth just to think South Carolina is going to rise to the top. Georgia made the playoffs this year. In my opinion, they had a down year when it comes to football teams. The great ones, the blue bloods in the SEC, will always be there. And I don't think one magical year with Lenore Sellers and all these other pieces is going to get you an SEC championship. I think if we could talk about maybe South Carolina making the playoff one year in the 5 years, I might go for that. But winning an SEC championship, beating Texas, beating Georgia, beating all the LSU, who was somewhat down this year, I don't see it happening.
Well, these days you can make a playoff run without even winning your conference.
Exactly.
So is that more likely? Like, is it more likely Shane Beamer leads South Carolina to a Final Four or to a national championship, even more so than winning the SEC?
Well, if we say Final Four, I still think that's more likely because you only got 2 teams that can play in the SEC championship game, and obviously a 12-team playoff. You're much more likely to make that than be one of the final 2 teams in the SEC championship game and win it. But to win it, you've got to have that star. You've got to have that guy that is different than all those other guys, or at least he is at the tippity top of the elite at the quarterback position. I can go back and look at Auburn had a guy when they won a national championship in 2010. His name was Cam Newton. Now, I don't think Lenore Sellers is Cam Newton, but Lenore Sellers has amazing potential. He can get as damn near close to single-handedly winning you a game with his ability. I think he's only going to get better. I think he's a high IQ passer, and great players flock to what? Great talent. And the better Lenore Sellers plays, the more wide receivers are going to want to come on in there. Look at some of the other guys. Nicholas Harbaugh. Nicholas Harbaugh go run for the United States in the Olympics right now, and he's like 6'4".
That's great and all, and I understand that, but where's the offensive line been?
I think it's getting better.
It's been terrible.
I think it's getting better. I think Lenore Sellers makes the offense.
Well, I know, but what wins you week in and week out in
the trenches. But then look on the defensive side of the ball. Look at what South Carolina put out this past year on the defensive line.
But there's 2 sides
They were
of the ball.
headbutting and chewing through fences, and I don't think that's about to stop.
But there's 2 sides of football.
There's 3
and if
sides.
you're going to win an SEC championship, not only do you need the quarterback and a piece of receiver, a piece of running back, you have to be elite up front on both sides of the ball. And South Carolina hasn't done that yet with Shane.
I think that's what they've been building, though, with Shane.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I hope so for him. All right. Let's get to the chat.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from the C-Man. Relax there. Says, guys, I'm a huge South Carolina fan here. My biggest worry is Lenore Sellers from a passing standpoint. I thought he's gotten better, but I don't think he is where he needs to be.
Well, I mean, he was a freshman last year. I mean, again, we want to talk about being an infant out there running around with guys that have been playing this game for a while. Last year, the ups and the downs for South Carolina, he's going to learn from all of them. I'm telling you right now, that loss in the bowl game may have been the best thing that could have ever happened to South Carolina with Lenore Sellers. Guys, he went on the road and beat Clemson. I mean, this man did some big-time things in big-time moments. So is he the greatest passer of all time? No, but when you look at him, he is a nuanced passer. He's not a thrower. Joe Milton was a thrower. Some of these guys that aren't accurate but have big arms, they're throwers. The difference between guys like Lenore Sellers and DJ Lagway and some of these others is that they can be nuanced, right? They can throw the fastball. They can throw the changeup. They can throw the lollipop screen. They can pump the dig in there. David, you know this better than anybody else. You got to have a deep bag to throw the ball at this level. And Lenore Sellers showed flashes of that. And he's only going to get better. He's only going to get stronger. He's only going to get faster. I think the ceiling on this dude is through the roof, man.
I will say he was a redshirt freshman.
Redshirt.
So it was his second year.
But first year starting. Well,
I get that. But, you know, it is. There's a big difference to me. I mean, by that time, Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow are winning Heisman's as a sophomore in school.
Okay.
Right? So, but I do want to rattle off South Carolina's schedule real quick because they open with Virginia Tech in Atlanta.
Sneaky
neutral
game.
site. That's going to be fun. South Carolina State, Vanderbilt at home in Columbia. That'll be fun. At Missouri, they get Kentucky at home. At LSU, that'll be interesting. That's returning the visit that LSU came to Columbia this past year. Oklahoma at home. Alabama at home. They go to Ole Miss. They go to Texas A&M, Coastal Carolina at home, and then Clemson will be at home.
That's decently manageable. I think that's about as good as you're going to get.
I agree. Let's go to a $5 donation from William. Appreciate it, William. Says the biggest question is, can South Carolina keep up in the NIL race?
Look, deep pockets. There's I think South Carolina can find a way, and Shane's going to get every ounce of juice out of the NIL that he possibly can. Hell, get some of that women's basketball money, dog.
Let's go to the
Don.
Yeah, let's go to the wise one. What's up, man? He says, the biggest worry for me about Sellers is ball security. He had a lot of fumbles this year, and you're not going to win any big football games if you put it on the ground.
And he's getting told that every day. They may be having him take the ball to the cafeteria each day, straight out of a scene from the program. I think he's going to only get better and better and better as we go.
All right, let's go to a $3 donation from the Don. Appreciate it. We have the defense to win a championship. Our front seven, I would put as the top tier. Where would you say South Carolina's biggest weakness is on defense?
I mean, I got to go back and look through the roster. My biggest worry off the cuff is the secondary a little bit, because I know this past year that was kind of where it was like, hey, our front seven's really good, and they're kind of hiding some problems in the back end. But through the transfer portal, again, we always say you don't want to build the ship out of the transfer portal. You want to plug holes in the ship with the transfer portal. I think South Carolina, having a good front seven is a great place to start. I would much rather have a really good front seven and have to rebuild the back end or kind of change the back end than vice versa. That's why I think South Carolina is going to continue to move on and move on. But speaking about moving on, all right, we got a New Year, New Meat special at Good Ranchers. Okay, maybe your New Year's resolution is you want to eat better. All right, but that doesn't mean you have to stop eating meat. Hell, you ought to check out the carnivore diet. And during their New Year, New Meat special, when you subscribe to any Good Ranchers box and you use our exclusive code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, you get $25 off, free express shipping, and your choice of free ground beef, chicken, or salmon in every order for an entire year. I'm going to read that again. Scroll back up and let me read that again, because this is a steal. All right, when you subscribe to any box at Good Ranchers and you use the exclusive code BOOSTER, you get $25 off, free express shipping, and your choice of free ground beef, chicken, or salmon in every order for a year, people. Because of spending more time with family, spending less money on going out to eat, and enjoying quality, nutritious American food is on your resolution list this year, then be sure to visit GoodRanchers.com. Use that code BOOSTER today for meat that delivers just that. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered. All right, we've talked a lot about the gridiron here. Did not mean to say all right that loud, but let's get into a little bit of college basketball, Coney. A lot going on here.
Yeah, let's react to some things here, because we had an amazing buzzer beater last night. I think that's probably where we should start.
Yeah.
Arizona and Iowa State.
This game, okay, can I set the scene for a second? So in our show bets, I took the over in this game at 152. When I got home, I made a personal live parlay, and my last two legs was Iowa State money line and the under at 153. So I'm like, all right, I'm either going to miss a show bet and hit this $300 parlay. Okay, I can live with that. Or something crazy might happen. Caleb Love was 1 of 10 from three before this. There's 2.2 seconds. Iowa State's on the road at Arizona, who Arizona's really turned it around here lately after a really bad start. They're now 8-1 in conference play over there in the Big 12. But Caleb Love from beyond half court, David, I watched this live while holding my beautiful baby girl. Let's go ahead and play it. I mean, the game's over. I mean, this is 5 feet in front of half court. Bang, 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 baby. Huge.
That looked like the Caleb Love we saw play for North Carolina in the Final Four a couple years ago.
Without a doubt. And the funny part is, and I want to give Caleb his flowers here, because I've been very critical of the amount of shots he takes. And again, he was 1 of 10 before this. It's one thing to hit the half-court shot to tie the game. He also hit his first 2 threes in overtime, and Arizona ends up cruising to win by 11. But I felt so bad for TJ Ostelberger, the head coach of Iowa State. You can kind of see his reaction. So let's play it one more time. This is just devastating, man. Road win on the road at Arizona. Not going to happen. Play it one more time. I mean, this is just... Oh, that's from a long way. Potatoes.
Just make you sick.
It'll make you sick. So here's the thing. Let me ask you all this. There's 2.2 seconds. Because I agree with what TJ did. Some people say, oh, you should foul him so you get 2 free throws. You got to make that shot, bro.
Yeah.
You're going to have to make that 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I just don't let him get to the center of the court, right? If you're going to shoot that, shoot it from an angle. The easiest way to make a half-court shot is if you get to the middle. It's like a field goal, right? If you get to the middle of the court, then the backboard comes into play. It can make it a lot easier. So if it's me and I'm coaching, just don't let him get to the middle of the court.
What's the ceiling for Arizona in the tournament?
They've got the pieces. It's just with Arizona, and again, credit to Tommy Lloyd, the head coach there. They got off to that abysmal start, but you knew they had talent. They got a young freshman, Bryant, that's a really, really, really good player. Caleb Love can be consistent and not shoot them out of games. I think they have the ability to make a Sweet 16, maybe catch a couple breaks and sneak into Elite Eight. I don't think they're championship worthy, but it's a whole lot better situation than it was at the beginning of the year where they started, I think, 6-5. People were starting to ask a lot of questions. So good for them on continuing to do well.
All right, next one up. Let's talk about this Duke player from last night. What happened with this situation?
Well, as you say, Blain said earlier, it'll make you sick to your stomach, or one of y'all said that.
Was this Cooper Flagg?
All right, so Cooper Flagg is driving. But Malawach, the center for Duke, who's a really good player. Now, I've seen guys get sick. This is an absolute vomit fest on the floor. And I was watching this live, and the refs immediately stopped the game. I thought maybe it was the start to one of those Alien vs. Predator movies. Let's go ahead and play it right here. You can see Cooper Flagg driving. Go ahead and play it. He's driving, and look at Malawach everywhere. Everywhere. Right there. It's all out during the play.
I can't watch that.
Either one of two things happen. You just ate something bad, you're not in good shape, which I think he's in pretty good shape, or somebody punched you in the stomach on accident. Let's play it one more time. This is losing. David, I really want
I'm Vince Vaughn in Fort Christmas.
Yeah, why do we keep playing?
No, Blain, I want you to really...
I'm Vince Vaughn right now.
Let's play it one more time.
There's a lot of weird stuff that happened in this Duke game.
There was. Let's play it one more time. This is absolutely losing your lunch.
I'll tell you the weirdest thing that happened was them not hitting the TTP after I took it. That's what I find weird.
Hey, I will say this. Boy, does Duke get some calls. If you even look at Cooper Flagg when he has the ball, and he's an amazing player, it's a foul. Hell, Father Pat, it's 2 fouls when you look at Cooper Flagg.
All right, let's go back to this weekend, man. We got a couple big games to recap here. Auburn and Alabama both in the top 4 right now. Auburn and Tennessee, that was a heck of a basketball game. We have is this the last play of the game?
Yeah, so this is Miles Kelly just hit a 3 in the corner to give Auburn the lead. Then they got a rebound. Todd Pettiford hit 1 and 2 free throws. So Auburn is up 2. There's 9.4 seconds. Let's go ahead and play this clip. This was just a fit cage match. Ziegler in the corner looked like it was wet. Get the rebound there. Not a travel. Ahead. Now, a lot of people were saying this was a travel. Blain,
how could it be a travel? I don't understand. He got the ball knocked out of his hand, so the possession immediately.
Let's watch it again. Was this a travel on Janai Broome? Now, no, Janai Broome is getting the rebound. He's not defending Ziegler. Let's play it one more time right here. From the corner. Weird angle. Ziegler.
He puts up a 3.
Ball's out.
Rebound knocked out of his hands. Yeah. He gets the ball.
It's not a travel.
I don't understand how that could be a travel. If you know basketball, which most of y'all don't, that's not a travel.
No, it's not. Now, I think this is one of those circumstances where if you watch this game, the officiating was horrible on both sides. But if they're going to let Tennessee play games on their terms like this, because Rick Barnes wants to turn it into a fight, and more power to him. I got a ton of respect for Tennessee. The balls it took to go into Neville Arena, which is a hot house, it's the hot gates out of 300, and really outplay Auburn for most of that game. Came up a little bit short, but the level of physicality. I mean, I'm listening to Jay Billis and them say this is the most physical game they've seen in the last 2 to 3 years. And if the officiating lets Tennessee play like this, Tennessee can beat anybody on any given night. But here's the problem. In the NCAA tournament, they're probably not going to let you play like that. And that's been kind of Tennessee's downfall as they've gotten in the tournament and not being great offensively outside of Dalton Knecht. And I like Chaz Lanier, but he ain't Dalton Knecht.
My criticism for Tennessee watching this live was the shot selection for Ziegler with 9 seconds left.
Yeah, I felt like it was quick, right?
Throw up a 3 right.
And he can facilitate,
he
man.
can get into the lane, man, and go get 2. You're down 2.
But I want the ball in that guy's hands.
Yeah,
that's my player.
Go facilitate.
That's not even facilitate.
Or
our drive.
Well, right, that's what. Yeah.
To me, I think you give Ziegler their version of the RPO.
Yes,
it's a 2-way go. Look, you drive, and if it's not there, Chaz Lanier, you got to find a way to get open. Because if anybody's going to take a 3 in that moment, it needs to be Chaz Lanier. But not having Ziegler downhill, at least to maybe suck in the defense. Because worst case, and I know a lot of fouls weren't called, You draw a foul, you shoot some free throws, try and tie the game up. Ziegler's a great free throw shooter, but I think you've got to find a way to let him facilitate, let him drive, then let him kick out to an open shooter. But Tennessee's got to get more out of Milicic on the offensive side.
Last one up here. Let's talk about Alabama while we're at it. Mark Sears. Is Mark Sears leading the SEC in scoring?
Yeah, I think it was 21 points. Well, I don't know after he
I saw
put up a 0
at one
LSU.
point, but 0 against LSU and bench for was it the entire second half?
It was the entire second half.
I was having to watch this game with most of the audio off, so I couldn't tell if he had gotten injured. I was trying to check in back and forth, but what's the deal? Is this the second time this has happened for Mark
something
Sears?
kind of similar to this happened against Illinois, and Alabama still won. I think that shows you how good Alabama is. But a lot of the backlash after this happened after the game, Mark Sears' family posted some things on Facebook, and then they came back and put something else out. What it seemed like to me is what happened, at least from what I saw, because I was watching this game live as well. They put Auburn and Alabama on at the same time, which should be a crime against humanity, but that's a story for another day, is that defensively and from a rebounding standpoint, Mark Sears wasn't getting it done. He was like 0 of 5 shooting, and I think he was letting his offense affect his defense and rebounding. Nate Oates took him out, said something. I don't know if Mark Sears popped off back at him or said something, but it was enough for Nate Oates to put Alabama's best player. And I've listened to some other shows very quickly talk about, and I'm not going to say specifically, that are Aiden Holloway and some other guys the best player for Alabama. If you think that, you are nuts. You are absolutely nuts. Mark Sears is the best player that Alabama has. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance against Mississippi State. That's the type dude he is. But if you think that, then you are absolutely nuts and know nothing about basketball.
Holloway came in and played well, but yeah, not stuck.
Yeah, he ain't that guy.
So what happened on social media?
So apparently, from what I saw, is that his mom, I think it was, put something on Facebook about, that wasn't shining a great light, and then came back and, the old, hey, I'm going to put something on to make it, we love Alabama, this, that, or the other. Now, if you do know, Mark Sears' mom gets shown more than Mark Sears during the game. Like, pretending to shoot free throws and all that stuff's great. But, and you can say what you want, it's a free country. But at the end of the day, I got a daughter. If something happens with her in sports, in college or whatever, I'm not going on social media and talking about the coach or doing this, especially at this level. Alabama's a top 5 ranked team in college basketball. Nate Oates knows what the hell he's doing. And at the end of the day, if he benched Mark Sears, he did it for a reason. And guess what? You want to know how much better Alabama's defense was in the second half? And it sends a message to your team that our best player is not above reproach. Mm-hmm. Our best player is not more important than our worst player. I think it makes Nate Oates look even better, not worse, and I think it'll be better for Mark Sears. And look, I know he's trying to make the NBA, and it's not a good look when you get taken out. Maybe they were upset about that, but it happens. He'll come back better, I think. I really believe that.
Yeah, it's just, I don't want it to taint what Mark Sears has already done at Alabama. Because he's had such a great career. And look, I know I'm an Auburn fan and stuff, but I like watching Mark Sears play basketball.
He's a fun watch.
I like the way Alabama plays basketball, and Alabama has their best chance. I promise you, there's a reason he did it against LSU. Yeah, right? They're a better. He's not doing that against Auburn. Yeah. He's not doing that against Tennessee. Against LSU, you have the opportunity to send a message, but Alabama's their best when he's on the floor.
Without a doubt, 100%. All right, let's get to the chat.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from the brother. Appreciate it. He says, Jake, how far can this Auburn basketball team go? And you better be honest with me.
Well, I think this is the team with the best chance that they've had to win it all. I mean, I said this the other day. It's just that part of me that, do you trust them during the NCAA tournament? That's what we got to see. But, Bruce Pearl's the best coach Auburn's ever had. It's not even close. This team didn't have Janai Broome, still won. Janai Broome comes back. He's on a bum angle, goes for 16 or 13, or as Bruce Pearl said, he had a triple-double. Scored 16 points, 13 rebounds, and missed 12 shots. I look at again, I always go back to what we always say, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, the teams that win the most, especially in the postseason and sudden death, can win the most ways. Auburn had the number 1 offense in the world for most of the year. Tennessee comes in after a week off, really good team defensively. They're the number 1 defense in the country. You don't shoot the ball well. It's a rock fight. Sometimes the offense isn't going to be there, even in the NCAA tournament. Can you win a game 53-51? Can you win a game that comes down to rebounding, defense, and free throws? And I think that win against Tennessee, in my opinion, for Auburn, was the most impressive win of the year because the shots weren't falling. Nobody hung their head. Nobody took time off on defense. And when you do that, it travels. Because whether it's in the first round, the second round, the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four, or the National Championship game, you're going to run into a team that plays slow pace, that wants to turn it into a rock fight. And if your shots aren't falling, you got to find a way to win with your off speed. And Auburn did that. They not only did that, they did it against a top 10 team in Tennessee. I know it was at home, but that was the most impressive win. Guys, Auburn shot 18% from three. Tennessee shot 15% from three. And you were able to find a way to win the game. I think that speaks volumes.
Let's go to $5 donation from Dale. Appreciate it, Dale. It says, if I'm that kid from Alabama, screw this. I'm getting ready for the NBA draft.
First off, I don't think he's in a position to do that. There's a reason he had to come back this year. And a lot of it was defense. He got that grade back from the NBA, and they said, your offense is great. Your offense is Jalen Brunson-esque when you look at the way he plays. But it's your defense. That's what you've got to improve on. So getting pulled, I don't think they pulled him because he was 0 for 5 from the floor. Mark Sears is going to get hot eventually. They pulled you because you were letting your offense affect your defense, and you were letting your offense affect your defensive rebounding. So Mark Sears needs to have a good year, and he needs to have a good year in very niche ways. A lot of that is defensively. They know he can score, right? Can you defend? Can you not be a liability rebounding? That's going to be the difference.
Let's go to Charles. He said, who's built better to go farther in the tournament, Auburn, Tennessee, or Alabama?
And it's Auburn, Tennessee, or Alabama? I think it's between Auburn and Alabama because I think they're more versatile, right? Tennessee, we know offensively struggles at times. I think this Tennessee team mirrors a lot of Tennessee teams that Rick Barnes has had already. I just talked about the versatility in winning multiple ways. I think it's about as even as possible. I don't want to cop out. I guess I would slightly lean Auburn, but when Alabama, my question is, when you're playing your best out of both of those teams, when Alabama is shooting the three better, which they've started to do, and they're playing defense, and they're rebounding. Same thing with Auburn. Who's better? It's a coin flip. I'll just go Auburn because they have more depth, I think. All right, well,
all right, let's go to a $5 donation from Danny P. Appreciate it, man. Says, hey, guys, loving the content. Appreciate it. He says, what do y'all think about my Florida Gators this year in the SEC? We're pretty good, but I don't know if we're great. Can we get hot at the right moment?
I'm telling everybody that will listen right now. 1, Todd Golden beat the allegations. No more distraction. No more cloud. Biggest rebound y'all had all year. But I will say this, straight facing the camera. Florida is the scariest team in the nation that nobody is talking about. They're huge, not only in the front court with Condon and Hawk and these guys. Walter Clayton is now in the Player of the Year conversation. Will Richard, unbelievable player. Elijah Martin, the guy that got from FAU, is a punch-you-in-the-face type scorer. This Florida team has everything. If their defense can just play well enough, offensively, their bag is so deep. You go to Kentucky, you lose 106-100. I don't know if anybody was beating Kentucky on that floor the way they shot. Brea went 7-9 from three. But Florida has everything in the bag to win a national championship. They are the most dangerous team in the country that nobody is talking about, and I think Todd Golden wants it that way. But speaking about wanting it that way, one of our most popular segments, David Cohn in the lab with a pen and a pad, trying to get his damn label off. It's time for Huddle Up, Coney. Let's show the good people. Let's play it.
All right, Chiefs fans, huddle up. Let's get an 11 personnel and go gun, rip wide, empty flex, Ricky, X crease. This was the second touchdown for the Chiefs against the Bills in the AFC Championship game. Let's break it down. It's 1st and 10 in the red zone. Chiefs come out in 11 personnel, which they love. So that's 1 running back and 1 tight end, but we're in an empty formation. We got Travis Kelce and Pacheco together to the boundary, which means our 3 wide receivers are together to the field. And let's focus there. The Bills come out in man coverage. They don't bring pressure. Andy Reid has a great man beater dialed up. So this is a mandatory outside release by number 1. All right, got to get that corner's head turned. Number 2 on the ball, this is Juju Smith-Schuster, mandatory outside release. And number 3 is on our crease route, so 5 and out. And I want everyone to watch how a natural rub is created here with Juju Smith-Schuster and his release off the ball. Damar Hamlin, who was down on the slots all game, he just gets caught up in the traffic for an easy pitch and catch for Patrick Mahomes to Xavier Worthy. And this is the problem with defending against the Chiefs. If you run zone coverage there, Travis Kelce is going to dissect you in zone. If you run man coverage, they're going to pick you apart with these rub routes. Andy Reid, one of the best play callers in the red zone. Be interesting to see how much zone versus man coverage Philly gives them in the Super Bowl. But this is 11 personnel, gun, rip wide, empty flex, Ricky X crease.
David, it's fantastic stuff. One of my favorite things to watch. I think our audience obviously really enjoys it as well. When I'm looking at this, if I'm the Eagles and you line up in this and you line up in empty, well, I know I can eliminate the quarterback run pretty much, right? Patrick Mahomes, even though he did what he did against the Bills. So it comes down to coverages. If I'm in man coverage there, Why would I not match that out of that stack look? What do I mean by that? You can have a guy, the wide receiver that's in front, all right, you have the defender that's in front of him, the defender behind him, the wide receiver behind him. So it's 2v2. Why would I not literally play through, if I'm the defender, this first guy? Even if it's an outside release, I can put my hands on him. Push him wide, go through him, and pick up the guy in the back. To me, that's the only way to stop that. Outside of running cover 2, and the corner ends up sinking, the safety takes over the top. That's tough, man. Like, what are the odds you think that they line up, get in that exact same formation, and on the backside they don't bring Kelsey over. They do almost the opposite with the receiver. Let Juju outside release, have the receiver go out and run a snag back in. What are the odds you think?
Well, I think you have a couple problems. One is personnel. I mean, DeMar Hamlin on Xavier Worthy, to me, is a losing proposition for the Bills.
Yeah.
But then also Andy Reid's play calling. If they match there, he's got an answer off that. If you go zone instead, he's got an answer off that. And again, with that guy playing quarterback, Patrick Mahomes is going to put the football in the best position for his team, especially down in the red zone.
The speed for the Chiefs is just at receiver. I mean, you have Hollywood Brown, you got Worthy. DeAndre Hopkins is more of an old piece, but that speed just kills. It's a big word for the Eagles secondary.
Blaine, if you're the Eagles defensively, how much you're going to play both? You're going to play some man and some zone. Are you playing more man than zone, and then you worry about even playing match coverage? Because there can be rubs in match coverage. Like, do you feel better? Not that there's a right answer here, in zone or in man?
Oh, God, just kill me at this point. I mean, if it's me, I'd run probably more man because I feel like with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, to give them zone looks, they'll just eat that up all day. I'd rather man Travis Kelce, and I'd rather bring a little bit more pressure. If I'm in this game, you have to trust your guys one-on-one to make tackles. You have good one-on-one players if you're the Eagles secondary, but you have to blitz Patrick Mahomes. You have to somewhat try to get to him. You have to, because if you sit back in zone, he will just tear you up all day. It's basically fourth grade math for Patrick Mahomes.
Does it just come down to getting pressure? Like, it doesn't matter what you run in the back.
The right type of pressure, right? The right one. You can't bring him from depth. That never works in football. But you have to bring the pressure where he thinks you're not bringing it. Not only do you have to confuse Patrick Mahomes, but you have to try to confuse that offensive line for the Chiefs.
Well, I'm not even
That's what Spags did.
I know, but like that, I'm not even talking about blitzing. I'm talking about, are you like, man, look, we're either going to get there with 4 or insert a 5th because the back doesn't release, or we're cooked. Like, is it just that simple? Because there's not, I mean, if there was a perfect way to defend Patrick Mahomes, somebody would have done it by now. Yeah. Like, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Well, and to get pressure, what's the best type of pressure if you're not blitzing? It's interior pressure, right?
Yeah.
You want the ends are one thing, but that's why Jalen Carter is such a huge piece in this football
Agreed.
game. Can he push that pocket to take? Because Patty wants to do what? Patty's one of the best in the league and stepping up. And if he has the best feel inside the pocket than anybody else in the NFL. But if Jalen Carter can muddy up that inside pressure and make Patrick go out, then you have a little bit different of a story, and you can attack a little bit different on defense.
I agree. And the Eagles do have the personnel to do that when you look at what they have on the inside. All right, let's get to bets.
Oh, they got Jordan Davis, too.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see that sack Jordan Davis had on Jordan Davis?
Is Nagomi Dean healthy?
No, he's out.
Okay, he's out, right?
Nagomi's out. The other guy, the Bond guy's done a good job.
For sure.
Coming in. Look, it's a lot easier to do this and play linebacker when you've got those things in front of you.
Oh, absolutely.
It clears the picture up.
Something about Karlofsky, man. I just like watching him play. Whatever. I just like watching him play.
Exciting white.
He seems like he's just a goofy kid who's athletic.
Yeah.
Like he runs goofy. He moves around goofy, but he always makes the play.
Can definitely not draw. Probably can't draw.
You can tell he plays at Purdue, but then he does some things you're like, damn, okay.
Yeah. No, he can. His change of direction is pretty good. All right, 1-1 last night. Thanks to Caleb Love saving me on that one. Duke did not cover the 20.5. To be honest with you guys, NC State played the game of their life in the first half.
Pretty good.
Then they didn't score a basket for the first 8 minutes of the second half. That's tough. Tonight, Tennessee at home against Kentucky. Both teams 4-3 in the SEC. This one's got massive implications. Lamar Butler not playing for Kentucky. Andrew Carr, questionable for Kentucky. He's got some back problems. And Tennessee is 13 flavors of pissed after what happened against Auburn, and they don't lose at home. Give me Tennessee big, -9.5, going off at -130. And then look, Minnesota's done a great job this year in basketball. They've pulled some upsets. They beat Oregon at home the other night. But Tom Izzo's back, baby. Tom Izzo is back. And I'm taking Michigan State minus 13.5. That's going off at minus 108. I think they walk Minnesota off the line tonight. I think it is an absolute beatdown.
All right. Both my bets are reflected in those games as well. We just got done talking about Tennessee on defense, and you talking about the injuries for Kentucky. I like the under in that game.
Good bet.
Under 145.5, minus 110. And then I got Michigan State at minus 12.5, minus 110, hosting Minnesota tonight. Again, Michigan State 17-2 on the year, 8-0 in the Big Ten.
Hey, just win by 14. We both hit. How about that?
All right, 1-1 yesterday because Michigan doesn't know how to cover. We'll talk about that.
They did win, though.
Trey Donaldson.
They did win.
Hit you right in the back when we get done with the show. Give me Kentucky plus 10.5. I know you're on the road, minus 110, but I do think they lose, but I think they cover, even with all the injuries. And give me Wake Forest, also on the road, going off at plus 8.5. That is also mine.
God, Wake had Duke, too. Let him off the hook. All right, Ace. St. Bonaventure. The Bonnies, baby. I think they're at home against State, and he's going to take them plus 2.5 at minus 120. And then Marquette. Want to say they play Georgetown, but for some reason that does not sound right to me on the road. Marquette minus 6.5 at minus 115. All right.
Fit it in.
Coney, there's a minute.
Can you do it?
Yes.
Where you have to fit it in it.
Tom Cruise today? Mission Impossible, Dave? Is it possible?
We'll sing
He
that.
did
I can
six
do it.
times.
I
All
can
right.
do it.
David Cohn has 1 minute on the clock to read the sports headlines. Let's get it up. All right. Didn't mean that to sound like that. Anyways, David Cohn. Fit in a minute.
The Dallas Cowboys are hiring former Bears head coach Matt Eberflus as their new defensive coordinator. Before being the head man in Chicago, Eberflus was the DC for the Colts from 18 to 21, where he took the team from 30th in total defense to 11th in just that first year. The Detroit Lions have hired Denver Broncos pass game coordinator John Morton as their new offensive coordinator. Morton replaces Ben Johnson, who is now the head coach at the Chicago Bears. Minnesota Wild leading scorer Kirill Kaprizov will miss at least 4 weeks as he has a surgery for a lower body injury. He is off to his best start this season, and the injury does not appear to be season-ending. And last one here, since the Super Bowl will be played in New Orleans, which is an NFC host market, the Eagles are considered the home team and had the choice of jersey color they wanted to wear. Philly opted for green, which means the Chiefs will wear white, the same color they wore 2 years ago in their Super Bowl victory over Philly.
God, I loved it. You got it in there, Coney.
Well done,
Good job.
sir.
Hey, well done on the hockey name. That was always it.
It's not easy, is it? Thank God.
Kirill
no one's been doing that.
Kaprizov. He's a legend. Minnesota Wild legend.
Yeah, let's get wild. All right, let's get to these donuts and get up out.
Let's go to a $20 donation from Copperhead 22. So it's coming in late, so unsure if it was addressed, but the 2-minute warning play clock issue was explained by the announcers. If there's less than a second difference between the clocks, it's considered to be simultaneous.
There wasn't less than a second, though. Like, if that's the case, then why is it not like a shot clock in basketball where I can see it? Where it's like there's the play clock, there's 2.2 seconds left on the shot clock. We have a still picture of the clock saying 2:01 on the game clock and the play clock saying 00. That's a second to me. I'm not a scientist or a videographer or whatever, but that is a second to me. And again, I thought that rule was if the ball was snapped. Like if the ball was snapped in that time. The ball wasn't snapped. So what you're telling me is the play clock isn't 25 seconds. Yeah. It's 25. It's like pi, 3.14. I guess it just keeps going. It's like 25.3333333. That's bull. That's bull. That's not right. To be honest with you, I don't think that's the rule. I can say whatever you want. I've never seen that before. How can there be 1 second left on the game clock and it say 0 over here, but somehow that isn't a second? But we can fix it. Just do what I said about college basketball. Let it say 2.2. So, Copperhead, I appreciate you coming in here with it with a $20 dono, brother, but I think it was BS. I thought it was egregious.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Phil. Appreciate it, Phil. He says, David's already better than Blain at doing hockey names, and it took him 1 day.
David's good at reading.
I don't know how great that was, but thank you.
All right, let's go to a $3 donation. Appreciate it from Jack. He says, Brady will forever be my GOAT. Maybe it's because I just hate the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, but it seems like Brady has just done more.
I think you nailed it. I don't think it's maybe. I think it's definitely because you hate the Chiefs.
Let's go to a $10 donation from Dave. Appreciate it. Brady solidified his statue as a GOAT when he won a ring with a new coach and a new system, showing how vital he truly is. Until Mahomes does that, he's certainly one of the GOATs, but not the GOAT.
Okay. So if that's going to be your argument, okay, because correct me if I'm wrong, David Cohn, Did Michael Jordan win all his rings with the same coach?
He did.
So does that make Michael Jordan not the GOAT because other guys won it with multiple coaches? Does that mean LeBron is truly the GOAT because he won it with multiple coaches? I don't buy into that. All right, look, sometimes the peanut butter and jelly is the peanut butter and jelly. Now, I think Patrick Mahomes could win one with another coach. I think he could do that possibly, but that's not the end-all be-all for me.
Could someone just cut where Jake said
LeBron
is truly the GOAT?
Don't CNN me.
Just deep fake him?
You ain't going to CNN me.
Just like that.
Let's go to 2025.
Let's go to $5 Nation from the Vol. Appreciate it. It says, y'all Auburn boys cheated, and y'all know y'all did. The refs gave y'all every call.
Okay. You're a Tennessee fan. I can understand why you're upset. What I'm saying is I thought they were bad both ways. I thought it was bad both ways. I thought Tennessee got away with a lot. Rick Barnes threw a water bottle that exploded on the floor and didn't get teed up. How about that? You ever seen that before? Bob Knight threw a chair across the floor and they kicked him out. You can't be throwing stuff on the floor that explodes. That's explosive device, David.
So the last donation of the day, a $5 donation from Angelo. Appreciate it, man. He says, War Eagle fellas, Tennessee sucks.
They don't suck. Don't want to play him in the tournament. But I do want to play some music and watch Blain have to dance.
No,
you have to do it.
Do we have music?
Yeah, oh yeah.
We don't have music. There's
there's
yeah,
music.
we do. Don't worry,
Yeah,
Blain.
they got music. Stand up.
I got you.
No,
I wouldn't make you dance a
Come here,
cappella.
stand up. Yeah. In that turquoise coat. I can't say that word. Turquoise coat. That's good. Ooh, give him some of that. Give him a little bit of that extra. Give him a little bit of that extra.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did it.
Good.
Let's go.
That was good.
All right, kill it. I did it. All right,
yeah, now I'm about to
that's
puke
enough.
like the Duke player.
Now it's weird.
Please don't ever stand in front of me and do that again. All right, Blain made good on the bet.
I did. I always do.
All right, he made good on the bet. Hey, we appreciate you guys being here. Got a great show for you tomorrow. Make sure you're locked in, 2 p.m. Central. Don't forget, we got that Super Bowl live stream. And go buy one of our new cool hats. They've been selling like hotcakes. Make sure you're just locked into Crain & Company. Follow us on all social media. You can find Crain & Company on Instagram, X, or whatever they call it nowadays. TikTok.
InstaX.
Faceback. All that stuff.
Word.
Go check us out and like the chances. Me not enjoying some SEC hoops tonight, boys. We're going. Oh, God, get out.